Hey, what's up, guys? Chris here with Josh. We've been doing a little bit of thinking and a little bit of watching, and over the years we've realized that gaff tape may not be the most straightforward process. Talked to a few of you guys and realized it might be cool to throw together a little training video to talk about why gaff tape is important, how to do a little bit of gaff tape the right ways, a little tips and tricks, if you will, and just kind of make it fun as we go. So first off, why do we gaff tape at an event? With something as expensive as gaff tape is, why is it important? And a couple of big things that hop off the page for me is we don't want anybody in the audience to walk in and see cables everywhere. We want to get those tidied up. We want them to be tight against the walls, tight against the gear runs, to make whatever makes the most sense as you're running your cables. We want it to look clean and look organized. It makes it look like we're clean and organized, and we like that when we're doing events. What you think, Josh?
I agree. Less is more.
Less is more. We want to create safe walking spaces, so if there's an area with high traffic areas, we want to make sure we tape that down really nicely. That way people don't trip on our cables and we get sued. So we can't keep working for getting sued by somebody who's tripping and falling and finding a reason to sue us. So next thing is we want those cable runs to be straight. We want them to be tidy and clean. And a couple of little notes here as we get started with this is always make sure you test all your lines before you tape down your cables, because at $40 a roll and $30 a roll, we don't want to be wasting gaff tape. Another quick tip is when you tape your cable runs, use the 2-inch roll for little tack strips here and there, and then use your 3-inch roll for your long direct runs. Now, don't tack every 6 inches. Just do tack to hold it on the ends, on the far ends, and maybe 1 or 2 in between, just to make sure it stays straight while you're doing your long runs.
We'll show you how to tape the lines down without wasting tape.
Yep. All right, first up, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a quick cable run here between two spaces. So we got our speaker stand here, we got our spool at the bottom, and then we got a little run over here, which this could be like a snake or something where it's going to plug in. One big thing to note here is always leave a little bit of slack on both ends. So as you can see, Josh has put a little bit of slack here at the base of this speaker stand, and we got a little slack over here where it's going to get connected. It's important to do that because you may have to move a piece of gear later, and you don't want to have to undo all of your gaff tape in order to do that, because again, that's going to waste gaff. So let's pretend like this speaker's been plugged in up here. Josh's going to show you how to tape your run around or down your stand. And what you're going to see here is he's going to pull some off, then he's going to split it in half to get the most out of this 2-inch roll. So we're going to do all of this with the 2-inch gaff. So we're going to start up high, we're going to get it nice and tight, and this is the back of the speaker stand. So audience is where the fan is over here. We want the cable to be taped off at the back. That way you don't see it from the front. And then normally you'd have you do this after your height's in place. You also do this after your cables have been tested. Then we take a little bit of a skirt. If we're using a black cloth, this is our 5 foot by 10 foot black cloth. If you're using that, then you want to tape off here at the middle spot, utilizing another strip of your gaff to get a nice tidy little tape run here. And then the cover does the rest of the work in making it nice and tidy. So you get it around the feet, get it around all your little spots. That way when you're all done, you don't see any of that. Then next step is we do what's called a tack first. So a tack is where you literally start at the speaker. You do a little tack, and what that does is allows you to pull tight on the cable to get your first straight run. So Josh is going to get this nice and straight. Going to put a foot on it to hold it. And then he's going to do a little tape here. And we're going to talk technique here in just a second. But for now, this is your first run. Now notice how straight this cable is. It's nice and tight. And now it's ready to get a run. Josh has observed that it would be helpful to have one piece in the middle just to keep it straight. Then he's going to grab his 3-inch roll coming in from the audience, nice and key. And he's going to pull out that 3-inch gaff. Now what he's going to do here is he's going to come in on a single cable. You can generally do a center run on a gaff for a single line. But if you want to be sure, or if you're in a high traffic area, it may be best to do 2 runs. So what Josh is going to do is going to start off here. We're at the end of this roll, so it starts to get a little stiff. And what he's doing here, if you look closely, is he's pushing down right at the cable. And then he's starting at the cable and working out to flatten that piece of tape down. And then we're going to get the other side here. What he's going to do is start back over here, pushing in tight towards the cable, overlapping just a little bit to get a nice clean run. Working his way down. Whoop.
There he goes.
And we're at the end of the line here. But as you can see here, when you look at this cable, we're going to get a close-up here. You can see here, what we've done is we've gone in really tight to the actual cable on both sides. That way, what it does is it stabilizes the cable and holds it tight in one spot. So now if you kick that cable, it doesn't move as much because it's being held in place here and here, and then it flattens out going out from there. So,
all right, so general rule, don't start a line unless you know you can finish it, because if I start another piece here, it'll look a little weird. So always go from one end all the way down to the other end without stopping. Don't do like halfway, rip it, then do the rest of the line. Go ahead and, like, when you start, just tape it all the way to the end of the line. That way it's one consistent piece of tape.
One thing we want to do is just do a really good close-up here of technique on the cable itself. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm just going to do a small short run here. So as you can see, I'm kind of like pinching the cable in. As you can see, the cable's tight against on both sides. I'm literally squeezing and kind of rolling a little bit, and then I'm working my way out from the cable to tape. And then I'm going to do another tack piece on the end down here, where I'm going to tape across, and then I'm going to kind of roll it, almost roll it up a little, let it sit back down to really snag. And you can see, like, look how tight that is. And I'm going to show you what a lot of people do when they do this. A lot of people just build a bridge. They tape straight over the cable like this. Now look at the difference between the movement inside that tape right there and the movement with this one right here. See how much movement there is there? So we don't want a bridge like this. This is not good tape. We want it to be tight on the cable. And then, if we were going to take this down completely, what I would do is, I start with, I'm going to retape this down tight again. I'm going to take this little 3-inch here. So on this single cable, I'm just going to I'm going to find the center spot, stick it on the center. I'm going to kind of set this down on it. And then I'm going to follow the cable down like that. And then I'm going to pinch right on the cable, and I'm going to go both sides of the cable. And then I'm going to flatten out from there. So, just to show you again. So I'm going to take the cable, or the tape, set it down on the cable. Try to get that cable in the middle of the tape. And if it wrinkles, don't want that. A little tricky here, but just where we're doing it. But so now you can see this cable is very, very situated. It's not going to move a lot. And then if you're going to take up this tape, what I do is I start at the end, I give it a tug using the cable, then I grab, and I might use my foot if I'm standing on this, and I put it right here, and I just move my way down. And you can see just how clean that tape came up. You don't want to pull it up like this, because if you end up with this, then you end up with a really fun challenge to get this undone, because this tape doesn't come undone very well. If you do ever end up in this situation, what I like to do is get this squeezed down good right here, and then I just rip it like that, which reopens the tape back up, where you can pull it right off. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to tape multiple cables. We have a nice little chaos of mess here with these 4 XLR cables. So what Josh is going to do is he's going to lay these cables out right next to each other. So we want to have a nice little train track of cable all bonded together really closely. This is going to give you the best possibility for getting a really nice and tidy tape job. So he's going to do a quick measurement, a little visual measurement here. And then if you look close, what he's doing is he's getting it tight right here, tight on the line there. Same thing on the other side, tight on the line there. Getting that snug, tight feel. Tight here and tight here. That's the key part of this. Then he's going to pull out and get them all nice and straight. And if you do a good job on the far end, you'll notice you'll be able to give it a little tug and get a really nice straight run here. So we got 4 cables. They're all right next to each other here, all the way to the end. So he's going to do a little tack tape here in the center, so they hold nice and tight. Again, just watch that technique. Takes a little bit of practice, but being that this is a 4 cable run, he's kind of making a decision on how often to do the tack. You really only need to do it as often as you feel like it's going to hold, so you can make the long run. So we got 3 pieces of tack on this one. Then he's going to grab this 3-inch from the audience, and then he's going to do a two section run. So he's going to start on one side. You can see the overlap here is about almost to the 4th cable, and then it lays down nice and flat here, and he's really running it, and he's staying in tight on that cable. By the way, if you do a good job taping, it's quite satisfying. And then you can see here, he's going to overlap back on the cables again, but he's really focusing on pushing that to the cable first. And we're just going to watch from this perspective. And then he's coming over the top. He's going to give it a nice final press. And then what we have is kind of like a little runway here. So you can see the tape is tight to this side right here. It's tight to this side right here. And if you kick on this cable path, you can see with direct impact of a kick, almost no movement of that cable. And that's what you want. You want an effective, tidy run.
Alright, this is showing how to tape a corner if we got a round. We gotta go around, so I'll start with my anchor point here. Make sure all my cables are lined up, and there's a straight line. my second anchor point. All right. Then I'm going over there, so make sure my cables are lined up. So basically, I'm creating the turn right here, but only utilizing 2 pieces of tape facing inward. So you're almost like a square. So now when I'm taping, I'm not going to tape this whole line and everything, so I could save on gaff for this experiment or this training. But basically, what I do is I'd overshoot it some like this. So I got that piece, and then you take your whole line. I said I wasn't gonna do the whole line, but have it. All right, so I got that piece. That's on there, and then I'm gonna switch around here. If this ever happens to you, take a second, peel it out because it'll look stupid. All right, and then I'll overlap right there. And then I'll overshoot it again. Let's see. Okay, we got a little wonky. That's all right. Okay, so basically, I overshoot my line a little bit so that I can come over here, and when I'm taping this line, I can hit right at that mark right there. So it's kind of squared up. And then I'm gonna stop right there. All right, so what you're left with is a nice square run for a rounded edge. The reason I'm doing this, I know this looks stupid, you wouldn't really run a cable like this, but I'm showing you how to tape a line that has 8 cables in it. So you get you some overlap on either side. Nice little anchor point. And okay, here's another thing. If you happen to rip off way too big of a piece or a little bit too big, that's gonna overlap. I'll show you what to do so it's not hanging out over the side of your run like this. You don't have this square run out over the side. All right, so in previous or in the earlier in the video, you saw we just put one strip right here, overlap, and then overlap the other one. So can't really do that because this is 3-inch gaff. So I'm not really gonna worry about the middle. Just try to get some good overlap on the sides, like this. All right, and then
there's our open gap here.
So we don't want to leave this because this will cause a problem.
And this can be done here, Josh, with a 2-inch, right?
Yeah, this could be done with a 2-inch. But if it's too big, then you can use a 3-inch. That way it covers the whole thing. For this example, lay it right on top, like that. And you just go all the way down your line so that's nice and clean. I mean, look at that. Daggone. Okay, so over here, where I pulled too much up, I'm gonna press down like right on this edge, right here, where the 3 inches. I'm and pull up, press down, boom. Super clean, like that. I'm gonna do the same over here. There you go. So you don't want that, you know, you want that clean line all the way down so it doesn't look stupid for the client. This little bit is, sometimes it's fine, but you could also do a little bit as well. There you go. Hi. All right, so we're gonna show what to do if you're running a cable along a wall in like weird rooms. So you can see right here, there's like, it's not all straight. So what I would do, I would just get your cable. So if you're coming out of this room, whatever, I'd get something, get a little piece of tape right here in the corner. And then I've seen people, this I'll pull it tight. Now I could go up under here, which might, actually that would be cleaner. So I've seen some people do like multiple pieces all the way around, but sometimes that looks worse than just having a couple and showing some cable. So in this situation, I'll hide a little bit up under here, so it's not very noticeable. And then pull it tight. Do another up in here. And then the weirdness where it kind of bows out in the doorway. So here, since I'm at a straight angle, I just pull that tight. And I'm gonna go across. So I try to line the tape up where it's in line with the wall, and then I could pull across here. And like depending on the rooms you're in, like you could have straight lines or whatever in the design of the carpet or the flooring. And I just pick like a straight line and I try to follow that so it looks natural. So I always say less is more, because you don't want a bunch of tack lines. And then like when you give yourself an elbow, or if someone stands on the cable at the end of a wall or whatever, then you can just kind of flip that over like that and get up against the wall. And then every now and then, if it's not all the way across, I just come along and do this. But I don't need like 5 or 6 pieces of tape all the way across this baseboard, because it's gonna lay there unless, you know, we have earthquakes or whatever. It ain't gonna move. So now I come to this little bend, and honestly I really don't need to put a piece of tape here, but if you were going to try to make it like super clean, get it like that.
Yeah, and sometimes in these cases you need a piece of tape just to stabilize the run.
Right.
So you put one on, you get this one here, and you just drop this other one here where he put that one.
And then I'm going into this room and Bob's your uncle. There you go. Like, it doesn't need a ton. And for over here, sometimes I will come back, and sometimes you just gotta reuse the tape that you lay down just to get it a little more snug. So what I can do with this is rip it in half instead of using a whole other piece. And then every now and then we gotta tape up against the baseboard And so I will try to get it parallel to the baseboard, roll it over, and do this that little dealio. But it's in a corner, and it's not like out in the middle of the wall, so it's less noticeable. And here's a little tip. Sometimes you got a little gap up underneath the baseboard or a wall or something. Just tuck that puppy up in there, you know, and boom. All right, when we're done with an event, we gotta take all the tape up so we can start wrapping cables. So with this, I come in with a little tack tape like this. I'll bend down and actually pull it off, because sometimes if you do this and then it gets wrapped and crap, oh no, you got this and it's like crap, it sticks to itself, and then you run into this situation. Try to avoid that. If you do run into that situation, then I find the best way is to just start ripping it. And then sometimes you just gotta finagle your way through. So to avoid that, just do like that.
And then I noticed you're using the cable to tug up.
Yeah, I'm holding the cable to pull it up a little bit, and then I get a hold on it, but I'm holding the cable down. All right, this is how you take up a long line. I grab the tape and I step on the line like this. Straight up. Like that. And I'll show you. And then right here, take that tack up. That tack up. Alright, for this, you start doing this, you run the risk of this mess and that, and screw your life up royally. And if that happens, I rip it, I rip down, and then I try to save that. So you want it to not stick to itself. So now that we're reset, I step on the cables. And then, boom.
And what do you do with the big ball when you're done?
Toss it, Lizzie.
Hey! Whoop.
All right, so after we're done striking, we got all of our gaff tape up. Let's, make the venue prettier than it is. So we always pick up our gaff, toss away even if it's small pieces. So leave it better than what you found it. So there you go.